What is up, everybody? We are back on the Lasagna Show. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but we are back here after a very depressing Toronto Blue Jays series. We are here with my friends Connor and Chris. What is up, guys? How's it going?
It's good. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to be here. I'm kind of glad we got a day off today. So
Yeah, this was a very much needed day off. Not good for the
yeah,
Yankees because, the media has been kind of running with the whole everything is terrible and the organization has no clue what they're doing narrative. But Spencer Jones quickly erased that with 3 homers, so that was nice to see. But going back to that Yankees and Blue Jays series, frustrating after we were in Toronto previously and got swept in 4 games. The division is right there. Blue Jays are competing for first place. We're competing for first place. Blue Jays punch us right in the mouth. We get the redo for this last series and drop 2 out of 3, losing yesterday in absolutely embarrassing fashion. What were some of your guys' impressions from that series? Is there anything that can be fixed at the deadline that we saw during those games that can get them back and competing for the division? What are some of your thoughts? We'll start with Connor and see what you guys say.
Yeah, I think there have been plenty of areas that you can pinpoint as being like problem areas. It usually happens like that when you're on a streak like this, when it rains it pours kind of thing. But really, just time and time again, it feels like not having reliable pieces in the bullpen to come in and like lock things up. Even when you're struggling, when like you can kind of secure a lead or you tie the game, it's like, okay, well, hey, like use your guys now. There's no one there like waiting. They're rolling out guys that are struggling like openly, like acknowledging that these guys are using in these spots are actually having a bad run. And it's just a matter of depth and also a matter of like who you trust. I think there's a lot of problems, but for me right now, it's still bullpen number one.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. What do you think, Chris?
yeah, I agree with Connor. To his point about the bullpen, it's just the injury to Cruz hurt, and it's again to Connor's point. I mean, you're bringing out Loizaga, and who is fine for an inning, and you've been saying for a while. I mean, second is not his forte, and you're bringing him out anyway while he's struggling. And I get it. You're not going to send him down on a rehab assignment. You want him to get a here. There's no one else that you can trust to put in there. So a couple big pieces for the bullpen would be huge. I mean, obviously third base is a giant concern because there's just no one at this point. I mean, you may as well just put a garbage can there with instead of having Braz out there at this point. Like when you play street hockey and that was the goalie. You have the garbage can laying down. Just do that. Just throw those on the left side of the infield. But I don't know who the who the people are to put in there. So as far as the trade deadline, I don't know if it's just putting a Band-Aid on a finger that you cut off, or if they can actually fill those holes. I mean, I hope they can, but I just don't know. I don't know if there are too many holes in this point. At this point,
Yeah,
to actually fill.
absolutely. I mean, a lot of holes, a lot of concerns. But one of the big topics yesterday, especially on the Twitter space that I had, was a lot of people are tired of the same old problem with the fundamentals, problems with defense, bad situational baseball, not being prepared in certain moments, not knowing where to go with the ball, a cutoff not being in the right spot, a pitcher not backing up third or home plate. Like these are very basic, fundamental, high school level baseball dynamics that this team just doesn't seem to do enough of. And it's one of those things where the players keep changing. It's a rotating door of different players, different trying to figure out different solutions to certain problems. They got embarrassed last year in the World Series after Joe Kelly was talking, and Joe Kelly is a clown. But the substance of what he was saying gave you a look into what the Dodgers thought of the Yankees coming into that series, and what they thought came true. Put the ball in play. They're going to kick the ball around. Pitcher's not going to cover first base. Defense is going to be sloppy. Those are the type of things you can count on when you're playing the Yankees. That's what the Dodgers were telling themselves in that clubhouse before that series. And it's the same issues that keep coming up over and over and over again. We saw it last night. What do they have, 4 or 5 errors? It's just fundamental baseball, bad situational hitting, bad defense. And I think it's very fair to be questioning the manager and the culture he has going on right now in that dugout, because if the players keep changing and the manager's still there. The culture is going to remain the same. So it's not crazy to think that maybe this culture is a little bit lax. There's not attention to detail in terms of fundamentals. You can talk about it, but are they going over these things daily? Are they practicing these things? How do you fix it? I mean, it's a recurring problem that just keeps coming back. How do you fix that? I mean, if you don't start at the head of if you don't chop the head off the monster, the whole thing is going to stay. I mean, the whole culture is going to stay alive, and it's going to keep thriving no matter what players you put in there. So, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on, can it be a manager thing? Is this something that's fixable by just replacing players? What do they do about that?
Do you want to go first, or I can jump in? I got plenty to say on that.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to kind of fall back into some of those narratives, even ones that are like a little different if they rhyme with the ones we've been used to in the past. And I don't think that calling it a narrative is necessarily trying to say that none of those things you just mentioned are not problems and not big problems, right? It's just a matter of like this time of year, like you kind of still feel, or at least have to have the confidence that you have the people, at least 80% of the people in the room to make a run. Otherwise, what are we doing? Are we sellers? That kind of thing. I don't think any of us really are going to sit here today right now and say sell. I think entertain a scenario down the road, hope we never get there, right? So you have to ask yourself right now, we got a limited time, enough time, hopefully, as you've seen with teams in the past, winning teams, championship teams, to right this ship. And I wouldn't say that we don't have the talent on board to do that. It's a question of, do we have the leadership and the personnel, and are we going to push the right buttons? And insofar as like we all want that to happen, we have to be real honest and even like a little bit humble about what the biggest problem probably is for this roster. And it's easier to look at the bigger fish and the bigger kind of like headline grabbing things like Boone all day, right? And he's clearly had one of his toughest years, which is amazing to say as a manager in terms of things that you can just point to and say that was a mistake in hindsight, or even when it's happening. I still think that it's hard to turn what did Cashman call the Yankees that one time? A big a battleship, a big naval aircraft carrier?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, people hate him for that, but I actually think it was a pretty apt analogy. I think you have to think in terms of making additions, and sometimes addition by subtraction, but it's got to be on the field, and it's got to be like, it can't be revolutionary. It can't be like a total overhaul. But good news for us is we have some pretty obvious problems and pretty easy, I think I wouldn't say easy to fill, clearly defined holes to fill. And tagging on to what Chris said a few moments ago before, Johnny, you went on your long and very, very, very accurate commentary about the whole picture right now. We were talking about whether or not there's we have the ability to make a change that'll actually have an impact, right? And I think maybe you guys agree, maybe you don't, like that if the bullpen is at least one of the top problems, historically, it looks like the easiest area to make impactful additions to at the deadline. I feel like you can go out there, you can add a third baseman. Sure, you can go out there, you can add a starter, but you're rarely going to be able to give up enough pieces in the farm to get impact returns unless you're like right there and you just have one hole. I think the bullpen, in terms of like translating to adding wins and adding winning capability, you can do it relatively cheaply, and you can add a ton of depth without giving up a Spencer Jones or a Ben Rice or anyone else, depending on what they're after. So, that's how I tell myself the story that there's hope. I just think we gotta like start winning ball games and at least keep the distance.
I definitely think there's hope. Like, I'm not coming out here and saying that they need to sell, the season's over, there's no hope, blah, blah. Like, there's obviously good players on this team. Aaron Judge, Max Fried, Carl. I mean, they have two of the best pitchers in the American League in their rotation. They have talented players. Devin Williams, good player. Weaver's good player. Cody Bellinger's playing well. Trent Grisham's playing well. There's good players on this team. Ben Rice is producing. There are guys who are contributing. It's just the glaring, there are glaring holes in this roster, but it seems like anytime there's a big series, a gut check series against a division rival, an AL East opponent, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, first place is on the line. What's going to happen? They get swept in 4 games. Like, how many times is this going to happen where, big moments and this team just crumbles? Like, what is the preparation like? What is they have a mental, I think they have a mental coach or something like that, a mental kind of whatever the hell you want, a therapist, I guess you could say, to get their head straight in there. Like, what is the philosophy here, and why do they continue to crumble in these big time spotlight series where big things need to happen and they just fall flat. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, honestly, I think I'm going to need their mental coach if they keep doing this in big games, man. Look, I mean, it's obviously an organizational thing, and I think more people are seeing that. And, you can point to Boone, that the guys aren't fired up, that they're not doing the fundamental things. But you know what? That goes deeper. It goes down into, the minor league ranks. It goes down into how they are developing these guys. And who's in charge of that is Cashman. And I mean, look, I would love to see heads roll, just as a fan and as an irrational guy. But the rational me knows that, look, and Boone are not going anywhere just yet. I don't know how you fix it without fixing it organizationally, without getting the fundamentals, because it's not just on, these guys are coming up. And they're coming up through the minors, and they're still terrible at it. So they're not learning anything, the fundamental stuff that we're complaining about. It's not like all of a sudden you get to the Yankees and you forget how to play baseball. That's just deeper than just what Boone is telling these guys. Now, do I think Boone holds guys accountable? Do I think he could do a better job of that? It's a yes. I mean, absolutely. I really do. Like I said, I threw on Twitter, kind of as a goof, but look at Pat Murphy. This guy's benching guys left and right. Like he benched Joey Ortiz because he didn't like his pitch selection at the plate and what he was swinging at, and things like that. I mean, you got to hold these guys a little bit. And he had no problem saying why he did it. And they have the best record in baseball right now. And there's a respect that goes both ways between a manager like that and playing for a manager like that. And I think you're seeing it with the Brewers. And I think the little thing, remember when Trent Grisham the other night was kind of going at it a little bit with Boone, and it was just like, he was kind of laughing at him. That should tell you something. That's not, you're not, if you laugh at Pat Murphy, you're sitting for a few days. You're not going up and taking your at bat. So there's something. Players, and I've heard it from many guys, look, players do love Boone. They love him. I don't know if that translates into respect. Whether they respect him, that's above my pay grade to figure out. But there is something that needs to happen there. But without a complete overhaul of the front office and, and how it trickles down through the minor leagues, I don't know what you're going to see that's going to change fundamentally until something, maybe it's getting rid of Fishman and the analytics team and getting better analytics team in there and implementing analytics in a different way, because it's not working. It's not working.
Yeah.
And
you got to chop the head out.
Yeah. And
you got to chop the head off the snake to kill it.
People. Yeah. And I'm not calling for anybody's job, but I'm just calling for them to do a better job than what they're doing now, because we're all seeing what's happening.
And, a lot of us always allude to the, Boone's not disciplinarian, Boone isn't holding guys accountable, all this and that. And, always the response after that is, well, you're not in the clubhouse, you don't know what they do, blah, blah, blah. But there was a report earlier this season that the Yankees front office wanted Boone to be a little more strict, wanted Boone to be a little bit more of a disciplinarian, wanted him to turn up that kind of side of whatever he does in the clubhouse. So obviously, if there wasn't a case where he's a little soft on guys, the front office, there wouldn't be a need for them to tell him, hey, turn it up a little bit on the, holding guys accountable, being a little bit more strict, put light in the fire under some of these guys. If there wasn't a need for that, that wouldn't have come out before the season. So obviously there's a little bit to the whole he's a little soft kind of thing. We keep going back to you might have a strict teacher in high school or college or whatever, and when the substitute teacher comes in on that day, all of a sudden the whole class is like, oh shit, like we can get away with more, we're chilling, we don't got to do our work, we're just going to hang out and talk and have some fun. It's kind of a lax atmosphere, everything's cool. Then that teacher comes back and everyone's like, oh shit, got to do my work, got to get, dial it in, can't be talking to my friends, because you don't want to get busted. So there's that healthy little bit of fear there. If I fuck up, there's repercussions. So, how long did it take for Gleyber Torres to get benched last season? How many times do you have to kick the ball around and not run to first base until someone's like, Jesus Christ, do something? And finally, Aaron Boone, towards the end of the season, benches his ass. And Gleyber Torres is sitting there on the bench with his hat off, staring off into the distance, looking all pissed off. But what happened? The next week or two he came out, he was on an absolute tear. He was busting his ass down to first base. He was making sure he was doing the little things on defense. So it's like, maybe there is a little bit of something there. And we're not in the clubhouse. We're not standing in there when Boone's giving his whole team speeches and all that bullshit. So we can't know for sure. But there's been enough getting out to where you can you can kind of see there's a little bit of a pattern here, and there's a little bit of need for maybe to be a little bit more of a hard ass in there because guys are a little bit too lax. But it's just one of those things. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, just really
quick. Chime in as well, Connor, too.
Just to that point, and I'll be really quick with it. I mean, obviously we're not into Clubhouse, but there's what you're hearing about that at this. It's kind of a little too much to ignore. Like it's a little too much that it's just bullshit at this point. I mean,
there's smoke. There's usually fire.
Exactly, and the thing is, what I think you would hear different answers to the media a little bit from the players if he was on their ass in the clubhouse. That's why I assume what's going on in there, even though, I mean, for all I know, he's in there flipping tables over and throwing Gatorade bottles at guys, but I sincerely doubt it. But I mean, I think the team is kind of taking on his personality, and whether that's good or not, the guy has a freaking pacemaker. We don't want the team to take on his personality. We want the guy, we want a little fire. We want give me a little Paul O'Neill action. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go for it, Connor.
Yeah, I think the people talk about this would never happen under the boss a lot. And I often just kind of dismiss that as like being like really simplistic way of looking at what's going on. But the more I hear you guys talk and the more I'm like agreeing with most of what you're saying and a lot of what the chat's saying, I really think like it's easily defined with the Yankees used to be a top-down organization. It used to be we had the head at the top that set the tone. We had standards. We called, Derek Jeter calling Joe Torre Mr. Torre. That didn't just come from Derek Jeter and his great parenting. It was a little bit of the culture at least, right? And then you have that middle out thing with Jeter kind of setting the tone. He wasn't the most vocal leader in the world, but he led by example. He led with his play on the field. And I think you hear a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot. You hear some murmurs, or at least I have, of Judge expressing some dissatisfaction with some of the lightness that Boone might use to enforce certain codes of fundamental baseball and enforcing that and even to the detriment of the team on the field. Like Glaber not in the lineup back then probably wasn't a good thing for the lineup per se, but it's still a good thing in the long term for the culture. I think it's a little bit of if we don't want heads to roll, we certainly want there to be some kind of top-down directive on Boone to start being a little bit more serious without getting laughed at. Because if he flips a table in the clubhouse and they're laughing at him, it doesn't do us any good.
That's so true.
Yeah. If he changes his tone so much that they think it's an affected thing that he's just doing it because he's more puppeteering BS, they're not going to take that seriously.
Exactly.
We need a little bit of incremental progress on that. But the best way to do that, in my opinion, is through the on-field leadership, whether it's Goldschmidt or Judge or Grisham, some of the veteran guys, just kind of taking ownership over the performance and not looking around and saying, we're going to figure it out. I mean, even you, Johnny, at the beginning of this podcast, you said it's right. The division's right there and right there in front of us. I couldn't help but it was echoing the
it was.
Right.
It was. I mean, now we don't have the tiebreaker with Toronto anymore. So if we win the record, they're going to be ahead of us. We're down 4. I mean, we got some tough teams coming up. Toronto looks like a world beater right now. Yeah. So maybe a wild card's more realistic right now, but the division was right there in front of us until
the point is
comfortably.
To wrap it up, the point is if you're starting to buy in or at least kind of automatically echo that sentiment, the players certainly are too, and I think they all need to have their own voice and their own lane, similar to like a pitching coach or a hitting coach or a bench coach. Depending on the personalities and the little cliques in the clubhouse to say, hey, we're going to take this stuff seriously and take ownership over it within our groups. That's the infield. I think right now the infield lacks leadership. I really genuinely think that. I don't think you help that as much as I love seeing G in the lineup. I'm not saying don't do that, but with Goldschmidt kind of being spelled now, it kind of removes his chance to kind of be that, be the authority in the infield, because I don't think it's going to be Jazz. It's not going to be Volpe. And it's funny to think of any third baseman being that right now. So, yeah. I think the infield lacks leadership.
Want Wells to take that role, right? You want your catcher to be that hard ass guy who's.
I think he's crossed too much into the infield. But I think he's kind of crossed into the goofy category too much with the burrito stuff and the dancing outside of the car.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know. You're not going to see Thurman Munson or Jorge Posada doing that shit. Yeah,
and that's the thing. People keep going back to CC Sabathia, Brett Gardner, Jorge Posada types, Paul O'Neill types.
Yeah, I think of Gardner a lot.
Like a guy outside of the captain who can kind of be that enforcer type in the clubhouse where he's not the main, he's not the, he's not the main attraction. He's not the captain. He's not the guy everyone's coming to the ballpark. People aren't paying $400 to go sit in nice seats to watch Garner. They're coming to watch the big guys. But it's nice to have those type of guys who behind the scenes can allow the captain, to lead in whatever style he leads in, but behind the scenes have somebody like a Gardner who's like, hey, get your shit together. Hey, let's figure this shit out. Like, hey, pick your head up. Like, stop doing this stupid shit. Go focus on the field. Make sure you know how many outs there are. Like, little shit like that. And what Connor said was interesting because baseball teams are huge rosters. So there are little cliques and little groups all the time. And certain cliques and groups can have different agendas. They can have different personality types. Guys usually gravitate towards who they're more comfortable around. A lot of pitchers stick around with each other. A lot of infielders stick around with each other. 1 through 9 in the lineup are usually pretty close. Usually most of the bench guys are together. The relievers are a little bit separate from the starters. So, but what brings them all together that I think people underestimate is the manager. If you've been even down to high school varsity level, if you played in junior college, if you played in D1, if you've been a pro, you understand that everything stops and starts with the manager. All the team meetings, all the staff, the first base coach, the third base coach, the pitching coaches, all the assistants, everybody is gathered in that room. And there's one man in the middle of that room who's directing traffic, who's setting the tone, who's emphasizing all the little things, who's, putting together game plans, getting together with team leaders and making sure shit's going right. So I think if people underestimate how important a manager is in setting a culture and, being a leader of men and, making sure everything's getting figured out right. Because you can see the difference between the Toronto Blue Jays, who I got to tip my cap to. I mean, they don't have the same talent we do. Their payroll's a little bit less. You got guys like Barger and Schneider and, some guys we never even heard of. Ernie Clement. They catch the ball. They do the little things right. They play defense. They run the bases well. They take the extra bases when they're there. Cutoffs are where they need to be. The defense, the pitching is solid. Guys are back in the base. They're doing all the little things right. They're kicking the shit out of the New York Yankees. And it's, it looks like polar opposites. You're looking at the way the Blue Jays are winning, then you're looking at the way we're winning, and you're like, damn, these teams aren't close. The Yankees' record against the Blue Jays this season is 3-7. They've lost 7 out of 10. That's not even remotely close. So it's like, some of the games are close, but the Blue Jays doing little things equals them winning baseball games against us. And we see it time and time again. And last night was just another example of that. And it's to the point where there was a Ken Rosenthal article today, and you've got quotes calling the Yankees an industry punchline. This is being reported by insiders. The Yankees have become an industry punchline. What happened to the pinstripes meaning something? What happened to respect? What happened to Brian Cashman coming out saying, I want this to be the mecca of baseball? They couldn't be any less of the mecca of baseball. Right now they're a running joke to these organizations. So it's like, how do you get back to mecca of baseball? How do you get back to commanding respect from your opponents?
You win the World Series.
To not being an industry running joke. Like, this is crazy shit to hear from an insider like Ken Rosenthal. And this stuff wasn't being reported before. Now it's after a game like that last night, and then this is coming out. It's embarrassing. It's crazy to see. There's really no end in sight unless they can do some unbelievable acquisitions at the deadline. And the talent is just so overwhelmingly good that it overbears all of the defensive miscues and all the bullshit that we watch this team get into over and over again.
Yeah. A part of me wants to say, they're not the statement that they're the farthest that they can be from a mecca of baseball. I disagree with. I think you're just kind of exaggerating that. They've had 32 consecutive winning seasons. They were AL champs last year. I just think the season's going pretty poorly.
Dodgers are the mecca of baseball right now, if we're being honest. Struggling right now, but how many Otanis and Teoscars and Yamamotos and Freddie Freemans and Blake Snells and Tyler Glasnows? How many more of those guys are going to go there? And we get what? Will Warren pitching third in our rotation? Yeah, we got Max Fried, but there's holes in this roster. The Dodgers are not afraid to patch holes in their roster. We are. We start the season with holes at third base. The year before that, hole in left field. We have 3 catchers, but we have no third baseman. Like, what are we doing here?
I should know better than to start trying to play devil's advocate and
devil's advocate
sunshine and rainbows at a point when the Yankees are absolutely shitting the bed. I'm just trying to keep it, keep it a little bit interesting. But yeah, no, I don't want to carry that mantle right now. I'll wait till we start winning again.
No, for sure. No, it's good because we can't all just sit here and circle jerk and agree with everything. It's good to have a different.
It also doesn't do us any good to hang a banner for having consecutive winning seasons if we're not winning championships. Instead of last year when we made the World Series, it's going to be a negative if we don't actually win the thing, and that's turned out to be absolutely true. And
from your perspective, how do you feel the Yankees are still, a mecca of baseball? Is that just their?
Oh no, I don't think they're the mecca. I don't think they're the mecca right now. I think that I think it's right there in front of them.
No.
I think that you said they're the farthest thing, and I think we're still farther from being Cincinnati, right? So that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But hey, with a ton of power comes a lot of responsibility. I don't think that we're living up to that Spider-Man protocol right now. I think we're kind of messing it up. We got a huge payroll, and it's an embarrassment in context, right? Where it's a big stage, big city, great fan base. We're just letting we're letting every aspect of that fan base down. The more we allow ourselves to just make excuses, right? So I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I'm just trying to say right now, okay, the reason we're so pissed is because we're not the Reds, we're not the Rays, we're not the Orioles, right?
Expectation. I mean, with those lofty expectations and being the New York Yankees, there's also, the expectation that they're going to be a World Series contender every year.
I'm looking at the chat too much right now. So Bernard just said, since he swept us, and it's yeah, you're right. It's a perfect example of what I'm saying.
Until I popped up on there too. God,
right. But you're not getting my whole point. My whole point is, my whole point is we are justified in being this pissed, right? It's not a matter of saying I'm not stunting on the Reds. I'm saying that they win the division. That's 10 years of goodwill for their fan base. That it's not the same.
Yeah, the expectations are completely different. Go for it, Chris.
And well, I mean, what was it? Jeff Passan that said, Yankee fans are, maybe World Series of bust is a crazy mentality to have or something like that. Bullshit. That's just what comes with being a Yankee fan. Look, playoffs are great. A pennant is great. But it's been 16 years now. That's it's a while, and the Yankees have been around for a long time. 16 years. That's a long time for the Yankees. So I mean, going back to a couple other points from earlier. I mean, like Connor said. I mean, it's obviously there are things to address at the deadline. I don't know if you bring someone in who's going to completely change the culture. I don't know if that guy exists, and if they do, they're not going anywhere. Philly's not shipping off Bryce Harper. So you're not getting a guy like that at the trade deadline. So hopefully they do bring in are serviceable. Everybody else gets their heads out of their asses and they start playing baseball fundamentally correctly and just play up to the level that they can play, as good as that may be. And, it's also going back to a leader in the infield. I think they kind of had that a little bit with Rizzo for the last couple of years. Whether his brains were scrambled or not, he was definitely kind of, Judge's kind of consigliere or whatever. And I think to an extent Stanton does it a little bit too. But I don't know if you're bringing in a guy like that at the deadline. I don't know how the rest of the team would react to a guy coming in to play third base and trying to throw his balls around, trying to be that guy. So it's a touchy thing, I mean, they can only fix what they can fix. And right now that's third base and that bullpen. That bullpen absolutely needs help. They're not going to start doing 2-a-day fielding drills, on a day off right now. So they're, as
I would start. I'm sorry. Get your
agree with you
on the field.
I agree with you, but I can tell you
it's fungo for 3 hours.
I agree. They should sit there and take fungos until they can't, until they throw up. Personally, but it's a different thing, man.
It's hard to make millionaires do that type of shit. It's not high school anymore. There is some of that.
It is.
There is some of that.
I get that, but this is true. It's nobody throws their balls around in that clubhouse, and that's true. Somebody needs to, and it's something. Something needs to change, and I don't know if adding anybody, they can fill every hole at the trade deadline, and I don't know if that's going to change what the inherent thing that we're seeing with this team is.
You're right. You're 100% right.
Some people say lack of urgency. Some people say shitty fundamental baseball. That's what I think it is. I mean, it's terrible. Base running, look, they can't catch, they can't throw, so they're going to make up with it by not knowing how to run the base. It's that kind of thing. Like, you got to get something right here, So it's,
Yeah.
I hope that they can fix it. I hope that, maybe the errors are contagious. Maybe they can shore up some defense, and then the mental, maybe they're more locked in. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Then again, I'm not Brian Cashman. He should know what the fucking answer is, and he should do what he needs to do to fix it, or find who does. That's really what it comes down to.
I'm
in
hoping.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but that's what I think.
No. You're 100% right in the fact that there's not much they can do this year right now to completely change this culture. You just can't. The manager's still going to be there. All the coaches are still. They're not going to fire the hitting coach midseason like they did. What's his face a couple years ago? Like they're not going to fire Rojas, third base coach, who's out of nowhere just to have a sacrificial lamb. These guys are going to stay in place. Yeah, these guys are going to stay in place. The culture is what it is, and they're just going to have enough talent. And they have to pull their heads out of their asses and do all the little things right to go, compete for a World Series championship. Because as of like pretty fucking recently here, the American League is no longer a cakewalk. Like our own division is not a cakewalk. The Tigers, they got stomped today, but they're going to be good. You're going to have to face Schoolville a couple times in the series. You're going to have to face the Red Sox, the Jays, the Astros are good again. The Mariners just went out and got Josh Naylor. They got good pitching. I mean, there are good teams in the American League who are going to push you this year. So Brian Cashman is going to have to, he talked about being all in. I hope that wasn't just lip service. You're going to have to give something up to get something back. So circle the prospects that you're willing to move. Go get some deals done. Go see, who's interested in certain guys and go do what you got to do. One of those guys who, obviously went off today was Spencer Jones. So it's one of those things where, do you, by going all in, does that mean you move a guy like Spencer Jones and you try to get maximum return on a guy hitting 3 home runs every day? Or do you keep that guy around and hope he blossoms into left-handed Aaron Judge? Like, what does all in mean? Does that mean willing to move your top guys for, a Eugenio Suarez who's a rental, going out and getting guys with control? I just don't know what all in means, but I hope it's pretty aggressive, and I hope he's willing to part with some guys like he did in the Juan Soto trade to fix some major holes on this team to put them ahead. Because, if they win a wild card spot, or if they somehow win the division, you're going to have to really bring it this year to get through the American League. You can't just get through the Royals and the Guardians again. Like these are teams that are, the American League hasn't been a good thing for them this year. Red Sox have kicked their ass. The Blue Jays have kicked their ass. If you face one of them in the playoffs, you're going to have to bring it. And you're not going to be able to make the same mistakes you made yesterday, errors-wise. You're not going to be able to do all the dumb shit on the bases. You got to be dialed in, and you got to be clean and play crisp baseball to beat those teams. So I'm hoping all in means patching holes in the best way possible while somewhat keeping some of their top prospects. But what do you guys think in terms of who they give up and how aggressive you want them to be, and if you believe Brian Cashman is really going to be all in? Want to start with Connor?
Yeah, I think unless the trade involves a Paul Skeens, which is not going to happen, I don't think we're going to see Spencer Jones get moved. I think he just fits too well into this lineup, and he's so close. I don't think the Yankees have moved a ton of guys that are like either knocking down the door or, have recently been called up. Not since Jesus Montero, right? And that was for not a Paul Skeens, but a Michael Pineda, who was just
a big deal at the time.
Highly regarded. Yeah. And so I think, unless you're holding out for one of those, I think you can rest easy that Spencer Jones isn't going to get moved. But I do think that Dominguez is in play. I think Ben Rice is in play. It kind of goes against what I'm saying. I just think it would have to be something like a really comprehensive package. I really hope it's not in the cards unless we're getting a real significant haul in terms of pitching depth. I think that's the only way we see that happen. Because as frustrated as we are with the guys that play every day, or the guys who wish we didn't play every day, I think the problem still lies in us losing winnable games, and that comes down to pitching. So I don't think the offense has been a major problem even during this last terrible stretch. OPS is still tick above 8, and so I'm trying to think in terms of what I would want to do, but also in terms of what they're likely to do. And I just think that we're probably going to see a pretty significant gutting of the lower rungs of our farm system. I think guys that are kind of showing out in rookie ball right now are definitely in play and in large numbers. I think we're going to see a lot of movement there. When they say all in, I think what they're trying to say is we're not going to get cute and hold on to guys that are 2, 3, 4 years away. But
which I love. I love that.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be holding on to those guys, because right now we got a window. The window got a lot tighter when Cole was out, for this entire year. But you can't count on talents like Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole to always be down the hall. So, and Spencer Jones has an outside chance of being that. I do think on the Spencer Jones conversation, and I'll wrap up with this, people need to temper their expectation. Even if we get what we want and we see Spencer Jones make his debut this year, I think we can't think of him as being kind of a proxy addition or any kind of like necessarily an impact. It'd be great to see him perform well and be like even league average, given his upside. But I think you have to think in terms of how he's performed each time he's taken a big step up a level, and see that as your ceiling, at least for the last few months, if he does make his debut. So anyone expecting him to come up here and be bashing homers and having a 1. OPS, I think should just chill out a little bit. And that's really more to the point that I've seen a few people make the case that they should be bringing up Jones and benching Dominguez. I think Dominguez, what he's done so far, even though it's been uneven, is kind of what you would hope for, what you get from Spencer Jones as a brand new rookie. Having an OPS hovering in the high 7s, and you talk about the defense all you want, but I think it's an interesting conversation. I just think we need to maybe pump the brakes on that a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Chris?
I 100% agree with what you said about Jones, especially when you said, when he jumps up a level. Obviously, there's an uptick in skill every time you're jumping up a level, and the toughest jump to make is AAA to the show, right? I mean, that's exponentially harder than going from, say, single A to double A. I mean, now you're facing the best of the best. So yeah, I mean, I think trying to throw him in there, and you have a chance of turning him into Volpe at this point, just throwing him in there and throwing him to the wolves. And
that's terrifying.
I'm serious. Well, think about this.
Yeah,
think
that's
about
a good
that
point.
too. I mean, and by no means is this like, a defensive Volpe, but they kind of, he played something like 18 games at AAA. That's it. And
not much at all.
Boom, you are now the starting shortstop for the New York Yankees. And look, that's a tough job, and the kid obviously didn't handle it that great to now. As far as Dominguez, I mean, I think, look, if you can get something for him, and again, to Connor's point, you would need a pretty significant haul to move Dominguez, and I don't know what that haul would be. I mean, I don't know what, he's young. He can, he's still, I think he'll be a good player. He's going to be a solid major league player once he gets reps. And what is he, 22? Once he gets a couple more years under his belt, he'll be fine. Look, not every kid they bring up is Juan Soto, and he missed a lot of time too, with injury, COVID, and I mean, so he's a little behind on the development path as it is, and he's still doing all right. I don't know who you get for him. I mean, I would like them to hang on to Schlittler. I would like them to hang on to Jones, unless it's for something that, again, you're not getting Skeens. I don't want him going for Mitch Keller. I mean, that's a little much.
Oh God, no.
I mean, like, I don't like a Merrill Kelly or a Mitch Keller of the world. Just leave Jones in AAA. Thank you.
Thank you, God. Yes, like you cannot move Spencer Jones or Mitch Keller. Jesus Christ! I saw someone say that on Twitter, and I almost fell out of my fucking chair. A couple days later,
somebody said it. I'm sure somebody said it.
They're like, and I'm not saying Mitch Keller's a bad pitcher, but he's got a career ERA in the mid-fours.
He's fine, but he
doesn't strike guys. He's a back end of the rotation arm.
Yes,
he's a 3 to 5.
Those at home. We have those at home. So we don't.
Exactly.
I mean, if you want to trade a couple lower level prospects for the guy, fine, by all means. But you're not one of the guys that
not the top shelf. You can't. If they traded Dominguez or Jones for a Mitch Keller deal, I would.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to take a shot on like an Alcantara or something like that, fine. All right, I'm willing.
Now we're talking.
Connor.
I don't know if you know this, Chris. I've been beating that drum for a while.
Connor's been on
Alcantara
I didn't know that for a while.
Yeah.
I like him. He had a good start the other day. Perfect timing for the deadline.
You know what?
Yeah, against the Pods.
In his last 2 weeks before the break, pretty solid too. He's coming back from Tommy John. It takes a while.
Well, Chris, are you familiar with?
Get back?
Yeah, are you familiar with my theory on acquiring Alcantara? Alcantara, and
No,
and
but
turning him into a closer, in the short term. And then you got the years left of arbitration, and then seeing what you have him in. See what you have him in him as a starter down the road. But since he's obviously had an uneven year, I think that gets it's very even again if you just give him one inning to go absolutely nuts. And it certainly scratches the itch that Johnny and I have around having a guy that throws flames, because he's throwing 96, 97 now. Out of the pen, I think he's dialing up to 100. And so
he was pumping 99-mile-an-hour sink pieces the other day, and he was looking solid. He's a guy I would take him in fantasy every time, but nobody gives a fuck about my fantasy team. But I'm going to keep talking about it. Sorry, guys. I would give up. This is just names in the system that I would be willing to part with for all the names that are floating around, except for like a Hayes or a McMahon. You don't got to give your top shelf guys for those guys. Come on.
No, absolutely.
Bryce Cunningham, Elmer Rodriguez-Cruz, Ben Hess, Rafael Flores, Rock Reggio, Roderick Arias, Brock Selvage, Henry Lillane, Everson Pereira, Kate Smith. Those are all names that you can cluster together and move for, rentals, whatever. Eugenio Suarez, Merrill Kelly. If you want to go get a Mitch Keller, be my fucking guest. Some of those guys. I don't want a Lombard Jr. I don't want a LaGrange going. I don't want Slittler. I don't want Spencer Jones going. I love Ben Rice as a hitter, but where the hell is he going to play? They're going to keep starting Wells at catcher. That's not going to change. His defensive first base is not great, and they want to, get better on defense. Where the hell does Ben Rice fit? Next year, if Cody Bellinger comes back,
another DH.
Yeah. You have Stanton. You have Stanton, who's going to be DH until what, Connor? 2027, right?
Yeah.
So he's clogging that up.
Yeah.
If Bellinger comes back, you move him to first base. Spencer Jones plays center field or left. Dominguez plays left or center. Aaron Judge plays right. That's how you fix this. Maybe you move up. There was reports that Ben Rice was being asked about today. Maybe if the Yankees are like, if there are some controllable impact players out there who not only patch a hole but can be here for the next 2 or 3 years, going forward, maybe you do give him a Ben Rice for that, because you kind of got a logjam going on where you can't depend on him to play first base every day because the defense isn't there yet. You're not going to take opportunity away from Wells at catcher because they like him more defensively. So how can you squeeze Rice into here to get more consistent at bats? Somebody's going to end up being the odd man out. I'm not saying I want to trade Ben Rice. I'm not saying that. I think he's a phenomenal hitter, and he's doing some special stuff offensively, even considering the fact if you look at his Savant page, he's been hitting the ball hard all year long. He's got some tough luck going on, but even then his numbers are still really solid. So if I was an opposing team and I had a good third baseman or a controllable starting pitcher or something that appealed to the Yankees, and I'd say, hey, what do you think about Ben Rice? You might as well ask the question. And if Brian Cashman is really all in, is that something he entertains? Because it solves. I mean, you can't guarantee that Bellinger's coming back next season, but it does kind of solve a little bit of the logjam. I know Trent Grisham will be gone next season, so that'll help, kind of iron things out as well. But Trent Grisham will be a free agent at the end of the year. Do they consider moving him, selling high? Are Ben Rice and Trent Grisham expendable to undo this logjam we have, and do they find a lane to get Jones on the big league club and see if he can have an impact like what Addison Barger's doing right now for the Blue Jays? The guy came out of nowhere, power hitting lefty, young guy, not a ton of experience. He came in because Santander got hurt, and he's killing us. The guy's hitting everything. So, I mean, is it out of the question to think that Spencer Jones might come up? You hang a breaking ball, you leave a changeup up, you leave a fastball down the middle, and he crushes it somewhere several times. I mean, it's definitely possible. Like what Connor was saying, you do have to temper your expectations with Spencer Jones because there will be a learning curve. They're going to find out quickly where the holes are in his swing. Major League Baseball, these guys, they have their data, they have their analytics, they have all their swing charts, all the, pitch charting, all that stuff. They're going to find the holes in Spencer Jones' swing. They're going to exploit it, and they're going to exploit it as fast as possible because you can't let the guy hit 50 home runs on your head. So, there's going to be a period where he's going to struggle a little bit adapting to the big leagues. I think he will still hit mistakes, but I think he's going to K a lot. I think there's going to be a little bit of a got to be patient, got to, let him get his feet wet a little bit. But if he might have the potential to be an Addison Barger for this team, why not entertain it if you can move a Rice or a Grisham for, top shelf type of return. But what are your thoughts, Connor? It looks like you had something to say.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about what it would require to get back from Dominguez, and I just feel like we are really I think we're in danger of undervaluing him just because it's like a
I agree.
position of strength. So like, and you have the problems with the DH guys and the logjam with Ben Rice and everything else. And I think if the price is right, I think you have the luxury of moving a guy like a Ben Rice and even a Dominguez. But I hope that
I think
we as
Grisham goes
fans,
before Jason.
yeah, you think
On the hierarchy of who they're more willing to move, I think Grisham would be higher on that list than Dominguez. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think they've shown a penchant in the last 6 years or so of really valuing a plus glove in center field. And that's despite rolling Judge out there for pretty much an entire year and a half, which was pretty crazy, pretty fun for him individually and his legacy, but pretty scary for us as fans.
Yeah,
hard position to play. And I think Grisham right now, even ahead of a Jones who would be green, and as far as we know, just as troubled defensively as Dominguez is right now. I mean, Dominguez didn't show, or we didn't hear any murmurs about Dominguez being this much of a liability on defense until he got to the show. I don't think this can be the same thing with Jones necessarily, but Bellinger
probably plays center in the playoffs, Judge and right.
Yeah, they're not as natural in terms of just set it and forget it in center field as a Grisham, and he's shown he can kind of hit. I agree with what you're saying though. Like fiscally, it makes more sense because he's a free agent, right? So I get that. I totally get that, and who knows? But
it's not an easy decision either way for any of these guys, moving any of these guys, like Rice, Dominguez, or Grisham, because they're all three of them are contributing for this team, and they're helping this team be better than they probably would be without those guys. But what were you saying?
Well, let me just throw a wrench in here really quick. What do you guys think and know about Royce Lewis? Because I haven't seen him connected to any trade rumors. He's got a lot of control left with the Twins, former first overall pick. Couple injury problems, but yeah,
very delicate, very injury prone.
That's the problem. Yeah,
right.
Talent is he's like, he's one of those guys where the talent, pops off your TV screen. You watch the guy play, and you're like, holy shit, this guy's incredible. But I mean, every other day there's a soft tissue injury, and he's missing 2 months. So it's like, I mean, what would you really be willing to give up for that? But the talent is there. It would be interesting. What were you saying, Chris?
No, I was going to say exactly that. I mean, he seems like a great kid from every interview, that I've seen with Royce Lewis. The talent is there, and he's just gone all of a sudden. He has a great game. You're like, wow, this kid's really the real deal, and then he's gone for 3 weeks again. That's the only issue with him. I mean, I don't know if that's somebody you'd want to bring in for half of a season where, he's got control, but say for this season, if you're really banking on him to help you in the playoff run and the stretch, he might not be there. That's the only issue I have with Royce Lewis, but
got to be available.
I mean, if he could stay healthy, I'd love him. I mean, I think from, talk about the same team, you can get, maybe a Willie Castro type. The guy is like kind of in a little super utility.
That would be good.
He can hit a little bit. He's a good base runner, and he's not going to cost Dominguez. I mean, he's not going to, a guy like that is not going to take your biggest prospect. Maybe you can package a low level product. And I don't know if they could use Grisham, but with Buxton going down left and right, maybe a little insurance policy for the Twins there. But, I mean, it could be, I mean, I don't like playing GM with trades because I'm always wrong. But I can see that happening. A guy like that. I also don't want to. I mean, I don't want to just trade Dominguez for the sake of trading. And I like Connor's point. And I like Connor's point of saying, that you could really undervalue him just to try and get something back, and you're not getting what his potential might be. I think again, you can. It's a tough situation. I agree. Maybe you move Grisham, but at the same time, your outfield defense is going to be less than stellar in the playoffs if you're running Dominguez out there in left field.
Yeah, and I think the thing I want to come back to for any fans out there, that are just convinced that Dominguez is going to be a career DH and can't ever figure it out on defense. A lot of championship teams have had really bad defensive outfields. Okay, you can hide guys out there. You can, and with the way we can maneuver guys around, I mean, you can hide that. I think we have one bad defensive outfielder. We can't manage that. That's our problem. I think that we have bigger problems than Dominguez starting in left field game 1 of the ALDS if we get there. So I think we just need to kind of suck it up a little bit and just deal with a few of the growing pains with him, because he's got a plus bat and he's got plus speed, and you don't find those don't grow on trees. And I think we need to kind of stick with him. And we've been rewarded. He hasn't been an all-star by any means, but we've been rewarded. And I think there's more to come with him. So
Yeah.
just to kind of completely put that one home. I really don't. It would have to be. It would have to be something pretty great.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
What's
Like
crazy
a Joe
is
Ryan or something.
Yeah, what's crazy is he's 22 years old. He's been a rotational player for the most part this year, and hitting left-handed, he's got an 800 OPS. Like,
Yeah.
I mean that's not hard. I mean that's not easy to find. Yeah, the defense is not great. He's a natural center fielder. It looks like he might be struggling a little bit with the angles and getting jumps and playing the wall and stuff like that in left field, which is somewhat understandable. My problem with his defense is Cody Bellinger's a natural center fielder. You don't have any problem putting him in left or right because he has good instincts. He gets good jumps on the ball and he doesn't drift. He gets to a spot, boom, he's there. Trent Grisham, a natural center fielder. If you put him in left or you put him in right, he's going to catch everything. He's got good instincts. He gets good jumps. He runs good routes. He gets to the balls. He doesn't drift. Jason Dominguez drifts. Sometimes he misreads the ball off the bat on the balls coming forward. He lets them drop in front of him. Sometimes he's running into the gap trying to cut a ball off and his route is awful. It's over his head or, it's like yesterday, he's trying to cut that ball off and it just goes over his head. And you're like, what the fuck was that? He knew he had backup, obviously. So, he wasn't just loafing around, but it's like, bro, the angle is terrible. What the fuck are you doing? So it's like some of the instinctual things for an outfielder that he's been showing are not ideal, even when he's been playing center field. Instincts are instincts. They're there. Reading a ball off the bat is an instinctual thing. Being comfortable around the wall and not drifting, that's something you can practice, but you're either afraid of the wall or you're not. You can either get to a spot or you can't. So I do think he can improve because he's athletic, he's young, he's inexperienced, like you said, Chris. His growth was a little bit stunted because of injuries, plus 2020 COVID season was kind of a lost year for a lot of these guys. So, he's barely been able to legally drink a beer for a couple of years. So we just need to remember he's only 22 years old with an 800 OPS hitting left-handed. We know the left-handed bat plays. He's definitely come a long way from the right side. So he's been showing some promise there. He's been, improving steadily. What's he going to be when he's 25 years old? When he fills out a little bit, he gets some more strength. He's got some more experience. He's been working more on the outfield. He's been hitting better right-handed. What's he going to be left-handed when he's 25 years old? Is he going to be 900 OPS? How many homers is he going to hit? How many bases is he going to steal? So, he's got tools that you like. He's got speed on the bases. He's got power. He can hit for contact. He's shown as a leadoff hitter he can work counts. He can get to a 3-ball count, 3-2, work a walk. He's got a good eye. So there's a lot of redeeming qualities about Jason Dominguez that I think people are overlooking just because his defense has been a little shoddy lately. It's hard to move a guy with that much promise who they've invested in since he was a teenager, for Merrill Kelly. Yeah. That's craziness. Like they've waited all this time. They're finally, going to, see some of the fruits of their labor, and then they're just going to ship them off for Mitch Keller. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. It's not realistic. They're going to, same thing with Spencer Jones. You waited this long. You've kind of rode the roller coaster of his stock going up, stock going down. Now his stock's back up. I mean, he's ready now. Are you going to, someone wrote the other day, I think it was Joel Sherman. Are you going to risk sending Spencer Jones somewhere else and watching him hit 45 home runs for somebody else?
Yeah.
I mean, because you're going to be banging your head off the wall like, why the fuck did I do that if he's a perennial all-star and he really is a left-handed Aaron Judge? I'm not saying we can't put that pressure on him because Aaron Judge is obviously, probably the best right-handed hitter we've ever seen. But, if he's the great value version, if he's Timu Aaron Judge, holy shit, that's a pretty damn good player. So, I mean, how willing are you to moving that? How willing are you to move a guy like that and watch him blossom somewhere else when you could have you waited all this time, he's finally blossoming, put him in your pocket, wait till next year, give him a shot, maybe move other players to fill holes. So, and the Trent Grisham thing, Stanton's kind of had some limited run. So he's ranked third on this list, but I think, Grisham's had more of a full season. So I would consider his numbers to be better than Stanton for now. But if you take Stanton out of the equation just for lack of games played compared to Grisham, Trent Grisham's got a top 3 weighted runs created plus on this team. It's Aaron Judge, Jazz Chisholm, and then Trent Grisham at 134 with a weighted runs created plus. So if you think about it, as unfair as it might be to do this to Dominguez again, he got Alex Verdugo last year. Verdugo was the better defender, so Dominguez had to sit because they didn't trust him out there playing defense. Trent Grisham is hitting well enough and plays good enough defense to kind of Verdugo Dominguez again this season. If you're starting the playoffs tomorrow, your outfield is going to be Bellinger, Judge, and Trent Grisham because you can't trust the defense for Jason Dominguez, as unfair as it is. So do you Do you move a Trent Grisham at the deadline to patch a hole and just take your chances with Dominguez out there defensively? Do you stick Dominguez in your pocket again, give him a limited run next year when Trent Grisham's gone and try to win this year? There's a dilemma there. There's really no right or wrong answer. It's a good problem to have because you got a bunch of good players, but you also got holes to fill. So who do you move? Who do you not move? It's an interesting dynamic for sure. But it looks like you have something to say, Connor. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I want to add a third baseman. What do you guys want at third base for the Yankees?
Oh man. Okay, so you got obviously Eugenio Suarez.
Or
Eugenio, who can't play defense, mind you. I don't know if that fixes the fundamental and tighten up the defense thing. You got McMahon out there, Colorado, better defender, whatever, lefty. You have Willie Castro potentially. I think that's a good option. And then you have what's his face from Pittsburgh, Brian Hayes. What is your tiered preference there, Connor, with some of those guys, or is there someone else you're thinking of that might be?
Well, the reason I ask is is there anyone out there, even in a dream scenario, Chris? You mentioned that. I guess everyone would say probably Suarez. Even in a dream scenario, is there anyone out there that's going to have a bigger impact than a front, like a top of the line closer, or adding a real? I wouldn't necessarily say ace, but like a legit starter where you would not be scared rolling them out for a game 3. Is there anyone out there for third base where that rings true?
You know who I would really like, and I would love to see the Cardinals have the worst week of all time, so they sell is Brendan Donovan.
Ooh.
That would be my dream guy because he can play all over the place. The guy can hit, he can run, he can field.
What would he cost? Because that's always been the question with him.
That's the thing. I don't know. He's got a couple years of control. They weren't selling because
I would give him Will Warren. I'd send him tomorrow.
I mean, it's not going to happen. Don't worry. It's not going to happen. But I mean, if I'm going a little bit of a, if I had my pick of guys, because that guy can do a little bit of everything.
Fantasyland.
The power. Yeah, he's not going to give you the power that Suarez, is going to give you, and he's not going to. He might not give you the defense that Hayes is going to give you, but he's somewhere in between. He can do everything well, and he can play shortstop too, and give Volpe a few days off here and there, and maybe that helps him. That said, it's not going to happen. I probably I
hey, we didn't see Jazz Chisholm coming last year, so you never know.
No, that's true. That's true. I'm saying, I would love him, and you never know. I really want the Cardinals to shit the bed this week, and then maybe they just go nuts and they just ship Donovan off to the Yankees. But I think maybe I think the price is going to be very high for Suarez. I really do. And he's a rental, and what is he? He's going to be 36, so you're not signing him to a long-term deal. After this year. So do they pay the price that the Diamondbacks want? I just don't know if that's going to happen. I think they're going to wind up with like a McMahon of the world. I really do.
I think so too.
That's what I think they're going to wind up with. And I don't know how I feel about it, but
it's one of those things where, of course, you want to put Eugenio Suarez bat in the lineup. But if he's kicking the ball around at third base and we're back to square one, what the fuck was the point?
It's still happening. Yeah, it's still happening.
Right.
And, the offense hasn't been a problem.
Again, like Connor said, earlier, it's not the offense is not really the problem right now. Even in that series where they got swept in Toronto, I think the Yankees scored something like 26 or 27 runs, which is not bad.
It's the freaking bullpen.
They gave up.
They had leads late.
They gave up 38. So obviously the bullpen is the biggest need. So maybe you get away with getting McMahon, who can play solid defense. He'll run into one every now and again.
I agree with that, Chris.
Nothing for me. Hayes does nothing for me.
I agree with that, Chris, and I think we're so much closer, to keep using that analogy of it being right there in front of us, so much closer to having a real change in outcome a lot of these games just by adding some significant depth of arms. Yeah. And I don't necessarily know what that's going to look like. I think, like you said, I'll look really stupid if I try to linearly predict what we're going to do. But I'm excited to see what we do, even if it's kind of like more of a basket of arms coming in. Hopefully we've done that in the past. We had that happen. I think we acquired, what was that guy from the Oakland A's? Was it Trevino?
Yeah.
Lou Scott Efron.
Yeah.
He's a Dodger these days.
Yeah. sure he's pitching great for the Dodgers. Now their bullpen's kind of in a tough spot actually.
Their whole staff is in shambles.
Yeah, anyway, so like what I'm trying to say is like we've gone about that in similar ways before. I think that's probably where the front office is leaning, is just like really shoring up the pen and adding, not just hopefully getting Heel back and Heel being effective, but adding at least one more middle of the rotation guy. And what they do at third base, as long as it doesn't go unaddressed, I'm going to be probably pretty happy with it, because you can't get much worse than Vivas and Peraza right now. Just saw Oswaldo the other day, by the way. He's got the boot off, and he's definitely in good spirits. It's funny to think that we took him for granted. Cool. Yeah, it's funny because he was actually hitting pretty good before he got hurt, hitting by his standards at least. And you kind of looked at him as a Swiss Army guy playing everywhere. That's where his value really is, and I don't disagree with that. But I wonder where we'd be if he was still healthy. I wonder if he'd be like kind of locked in at third. It's funny to think about that.
He was serviceable there, man. He wasn't gonna be a flashy offensive player, but he ran the bases well. He played good defense. I mean, he was a guy who, he could make you forget that third base was the hole for a while. So, it's tough, but didn't you talk to him the other day, Connor?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He was we reminisced about the time when he first was kind of making some noise in spring training before he ever got to the show. And I asked him, I was like, you had a grand slam and you freaked out running the bases in spring training, and it got me really fired up. He was like, it was against the Tigers. I was like, okay, so you remember.
Yeah, he does. He ain't forgetting that shit.
Yeah, and I remember that was the first time I ever saw him play, and I was there. I was in Tampa, and I was just like, oh my god, this guy is freaking out over a spring training home run. Get him up and playing. And it was back when it was really confusing, because we had Oswald Peraza was definitely one of our top prospects back then. I was like, wait, so this different Oswaldo? Who's this guy? That
was confusing for a fucking while.
I know, but he's I was at the stadium for this fan event the other day. It was pretty cool, and you hear about him being like kind of super energetic, really sincere, nice guy, and
looks like
I saw him at the beginning of this thing, and there was like a big line, and I was like, I got other things to do, so I kind of just like went in, took a look at him, and walked away, and kind of made my rounds doing the activities they had there. And then I came back, I think it was 3 hours later, and the guy is still shaking hands and kissing babies and signing, like with his, on his feet with his ankle, and just smile. Didn't change his expression the entire time. And I caught him like right at the end of that. I think it was like hour 4, and the guy was a bundle of energy and just totally just the nicest guy you'll ever meet. So as a side note, wishing him the best and hoping that he can come back and be a factor again in the future. But
I think he will. I think his injury is awful. I had a teammate that went through the same thing, like dislocation plus fracture plus fucking ankle, just fuckery down there. I feel bad for the surgeons that got to put all that shit back together. But, screws, plates, long rehab, physical therapy, it's going to be and then once he heals up, he's going to have to trust it again. He's going to have to, relearn how to do certain things and not, be able to slide, be able to do certain things, and not think about fucking that thing up again.
Rounding bases that'll probably.
It's going to be a mental grind. Yeah. It's going to be a physical grind. I feel horrible for him because like you're saying, he seems like the sweetest guy you could ever possibly fucking meet. But it's unfortunate he went down. Now they got a big hole to patch. I thought Peraza was going to be much better defensively, and at least cover up the defensive aspect of third base. And holy shit, man, what are we doing there? It's like, I at least thought his arm would be. He's got a strong arm, but he hasn't been very accurate. Kind of throwing the ball away, bouncing balls. The glove, he's pretty sure-handed glove-wise, and that's kind of shown to be not ideal lately. Vivas didn't look great the other day, so. It's a problem, and I think because the offense has been so good lately, I think they can go with a McMahon or a Hayes, depending on the cost, and patch that hole defensively and not have to worry about the fundamental headlines anymore. Maybe we do start seeing some more Paul Goldschmidt space, even though he doesn't hit right-handers as well, just for the defensive purposes. I mean, they're going to have to patch this up defensively somehow by adding a third baseman. Maybe you have a solution in-house with Goldschmidt playing first, so that's a relatively easy thing to do. Jazz plays a good second base. What are we doing with Anthony Volpe? This kid, I mean, recently he's hit for some more power. which is what a lot of people did expect, because when he comes off of a day off, when he comes off of, not playing, we just had the All-Star break. Usually he comes out firing. He comes out, offense looks good. He looks like the guy everyone hoped he would be. Hits for some power. He's hit a few homers recently. But defensively, what the hell's going on? He's staying back on balls and taking weird hops and bobbling shit. The throws are all
going down to one knee.
Like what happened? I mean, some of this is an instinctual thing. A major league shortstop, the instincts are pure. Like, it's just natural. It's innate.
Yeah.
Something happened there where maybe he's carrying, some of the headlines with him, the slumps, the mental. Like,
yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. Go for it.
That's a confidence thing. I mean, it really is. You're seeing it going down one knee to field a ground ball. I mean, he's not being aggressive. I mean, because when he was aggressive, he's throwing the ball all over the place, or he's booting balls. I mean, I saw something. I saw Joe Madden actually talking about Anthony Volpe today, and he said, I mean, look,
really?
He's been up here for about 3 years now. Might be time to send him down, reset it, like kind of what Alvarez, kind of what the Mets did with Alvarez. They sent him down, He came back, he got his shit together. He just, like slow it down, slow everything down. I mean, I don't know if the Yankees do that, because obviously, we know they're a little arrogant about their guy there.
The things they get right and wrong.
I mean, I would trust Joe Madden to say that. He's been in that position where he's had to send somebody down, and just get right. Just get your confidence back. Let everything come at you a little slow. You've been seeing major league pitching and hitting for almost 3 years now. Go down, let everything come at you a little slower. Get your head screwed back on. Thing is, there's nobody put at shortstop, so that's a problem. But but in theory, I don't think they would do it. But I mean, would it also turn his, would that fuck with him even more?
That's what I was going to say. Could this shatter anything left in terms of confidence and just?
You know what though? It's not going to get any better for him if he keeps playing like this. For the Yankees, something's got to give. It depends. I mean, there's a lot of they don't want to hurt guys' feelings anymore. They don't want to do this. Look, tough shit. If it's for the betterment of the team in the long run, you got to do what you got to do. And if it's for the betterment of the player in the long run, sometimes you got to take one for the team as a term for a reason. So I don't think it'll happen, but I thought it was really interesting to see Joe Madden weigh in on that. It was kind of an interesting conversation.
Very interesting. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thought experiment, imagining a world where they send Volpe down. I agree, though, that they're never going to do it. And there's plenty of, I think, good arguments as to why not. I also agree that it would be a potentially great thing for him, especially if they can teach him how to freaking bunt, and get him off the idea of trying to be Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa out there, because I do think he needs to kind of get in the lab a little bit and reinvent his game, because he's got so many tools, and eventually I like to think that he'll come through this cloud of, on the defensive side. And I agree, it's a lot of it's psychological, but offensively, the inconsistency and some of the times where you get a look from him where he's swinging out of his shoes, on a 2-2 count with runners on. And it's like, can you just maybe accept the fact that you are at best, fourth or fifth fiddle on this team, and act accordingly and play like a 90s high level shortstop?
Yes.
Give me a little Omar Vizquel, get the guy over. If you run into one, great, man, you'll finish. You're playing so many freaking games. Yeah, you got him playing 162 every single year, so he's going to run into probably at least 15 home runs for the back of his card. But I mean, goodness gracious, if anyone's ever been the candidate for listening to your crotchety uncle that complains about the Yankees and what they need to do differently, lay the bunt down, man. You're fast. You're supposed to, I think he's pretty good on defense. Not lately, but he can do it. Just, I don't know, personality. He needs to adapt himself to that way of thinking, and put his nose in it. Don't be afraid of the ball, man. You don't have to hit 20 home runs.
It's crazy because Connor usually has somewhat of a positive spin to a lot of these players and topics and stuff. He does not fucking pull punches when it comes to Anthony Volpe. He never does. Anthony Volpe is right there on a platter, and he fucking nails his ass every time.
You know what it was? There was a moment where that switched, and it was when it's because of freaking Twitter. And I'll tell you why, Chris. You probably don't know this story, but like it's not really a story. It's like it's just a boring personal anecdote. But I tweeted like after a Dodgers Yankees game that Johnny and I were at, and he had like a pretty clutch home run, and he was going through it. He was like having a bit of a slump, an uneven season. I think it was his rookie year, it was like 2023.
Yep.
And I tweeted like after his like game-winning home run, I was like, you know, that he's kind of had an up and down year, but he keeps doing these clutch things. He keeps coming back. You know, can't quit this kid. And there was an outcry from all of the you know, the Italian New Jersey people.
Oh god!
It's like, what do you mean? Give the kid a chance. Like, you've got to wait. Give him a little bit of time with Jeter struggling his rookie year. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, honestly, man, I'm like giving him his flowers, and you guys still won't shut the fuck up, and I can smell the gabagool.
I mean, look, I mean, look. You know, as an Italian guy originally from Jersey, I get it. You know,
I'm from Jersey.
You know,
I go back. People.
Yeah, I go back for Christmas. I'm hanging out with my family, and I'm like, you know, he could be a little better. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah,
you've been in California too long, you son of a bitch. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm just saying he could do. You know, he could do a couple 2-strike approach would be nice. Hey, he's fucking great.
Did you see the clip? Did you see the clip of the guy who played Pussy in Sopranos, talking like out of nowhere? They were talking about like comeback stories and the importance of like of perseverance in America. And out of nowhere, there was no baseball talk happening. The Italian actor from The Sopranos was like, "It's like Anthony Volpe. You know, you see the guy, he's struggling. You know, you just gotta keep that." It's like, what? It's dogmatic at this point. It's like part of the furniture.
Yeah,
I don't know.
At this point,
Part of the furniture.
See, my Italian in is hoping that, you know, look, if it doesn't work out for Volpe, at least there's Rock Riggio down there that I'm hoping, you know, worst case we get another guy that we can get the Italian people behind. But, you know, at this point, look, I don't give a shit about the Italian thing or not. I want the Yankees to win games. And if he can't help them win games right now, you gotta look. I'm not saying move on from him, but if it would benefit him to send him down for a while, figure shit out, well, then move on from him. Yeah, I mean, I don't care if they do. I mean, you know, I've met the kid. He's a nice kid, but that doesn't mean shit. I've met a lot of nice people, and I don't want them playing shortstop fucking Yankees. So it's just. You know, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're just going to continue running him out there until the kid's a mental case, and then, you know, can't throws even worse, turns into fucking Chuck Knobloch, you know, not being able to get the ball even close to. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. You know,
Chris, are you a Giants fan? New York Giants? Are you a New York Giants fan?
I'm not. No.
You a Jets fan or something else?
Signed kind of a Jets fan. Yeah.
Okay. So there's
when I was a kid, I liked Dallas, but I don't fucking care.
Oh gosh. Okay. Let's not scratch that too much. Let's leave that alone.
I was little. Yeah. I don't want to get into that. Yeah. So I started following the Jets.
I wasn't prepped. My bad. Yeah. But Raven,
that's all right.
Yeah. Raven in the chat said those are the same people who are rooting for Tommy DeVito, talking about the people who are unconditionally supporting.
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah. I mean, I'm not against the whole, you know, with the Rizzo and the Gallo nonsense with all. I'm all about that. If it's
it was
like
fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, but if it's a mask,
it gets so old.
If you're losing, it's like
yeah.
So Tommy DeVito won a couple games from the Giants and cost us like a higher draft pick. And the whole time I'm pulling my hair out. Like I don't care if we go 6 and 11. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter to me. And
it was the Colts who the Giants beat. to lose that spot.
So I know Reven knows what I'm talking about, but I don't want to get into NFL. We're getting dangerously close to NFL talk. We've done that a few times on the vlogs when I'm on.
I like the comment that DeVito's agent is in waste management, because that's absolutely fucking true.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. That guy, they pulled that guy out of fucking nowhere. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Getting back to the golden child, though, hitting 214 this year. I know batting average isn't the end all be all anymore, but 214.
Yeah, but 218 is still not good. It's
fuck, man. Yeah. His OPS is 680.
218's not good.
Can he finish the year 700 or better? can this little heater he's on
He's
right
at
now be
680
sustainable?
now. He's at 680
now. This is after the 2 homers
take a
in
ton
Atlanta,
to get to 700.
the homer in Toronto. This is after he's done damage for the last week. He's up to 680. So another slump, he's going to be back down to 660.
Well,
I think he finishes right there. Yeah, I think he finishes right around 7. I think that I mean, like, this is more of, I think, a conversation for the offseason, because we have to roll with him unless we're going to make an acquisition or something, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Nor are we going to send him down. We don't really have much depth there, and he's kind of ours for better or for worse, unless you're trying to move Peraza over, which doesn't make any sense. So I think it's a matter of just kind of pulling for him and hoping he figures it out, and hoping the coaching staff and the players around him can kind of help him kind of right the ship, at least defensively. And but yeah, no, I mean, thinking about the numbers, I would not be surprised to see a little bit of regression. He has hot streaks, he has cold streaks. I think he ends up somewhere where he's been, which is probably around like something between 690 and 710 for his OPS when it's all said and done.
That sounds right.
That would be a dramatic improvement from his career OPS, and would be beyond the best case scenario if he did that. So, like, on the anti-Volpe side, I do think he's on a little bit of a heater because he did have some time off, and something's clicking for now. But if we get fast forward to the end of August, if his OPS is 665 and he's hitting 210, what the hell are you going to do next year? Because if he's kicking the ball around and bouncing balls, like fucking around on defense, hitting 214, hitting 250, for his career he's hitting 220.
You can't.
And that's over almost 1,550 at bats. I mean, at what point do the Yankees say,
large sample,
we got this shit wrong? He is what he is. Go figure it out somewhere else, buddy. Best of luck. You'll always be the Italian stallion to some of these fucking people here. But there are other shortstops out there. You can go sniff around and you can go find something that could be a little bit more serviceable. I don't think Lombard Jr. will be ready next year just yet, maybe 2027. But that if he doesn't finish with a 700 OPS or better this season, the Yankees have to look in the mirror and say, we need to start thinking of something else. 2026 might be his last season. We got to start looking forward and figure something out here.
Well, it's George Lombard. It's Lombard.
A lot of people have concerns that he's a bigger dude. He's 6'3", 6'4". He might fill out to be like 220, 230. Right. And some people are saying maybe Lombard was the third. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think best case scenario. I'm not saying he's a Manny Machado, but I think best case scenario is kind of a little bit of a Manny Machado thing where he eventually ages out of it. But when he's young, you can roll with the young, athletic.
You know what?
Guy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I hope he hits
send him
as well as we hope he does.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
You know what? Send him and Dominguez down to winter ball. Go play play Venezuela somewhere. Go keep developing. Again, because of that COVID year, because of the injuries to Dominguez, send him down. Let him play. Let him get the reps. Let him learn the outfield. I mean, it's what guys did forever, and they still do. There's no reason he shouldn't go play in a winter league. Honestly,
he 1,000% should. But he's got shit made. If you got it made, then why do the extra shit? If they're going to back you no matter what, then why go out of your way to go spend your winter in the fucking Dominican?
If that's his attitude of not wanting to get better, then that's on him, and you get rid of him. But
I think Volpe's got the fire lit. I don't want to disagree with you guys too hard. I think that Volpe has the fire lit underneath him. I think he's got plenty of motivation to be the best version of himself.
Oh, of course.
I think he just needs to get channeled into not worrying about
going
2020 every year, and just be a different kind of player.
I agree. No, I agree. I meant send Lombard and Dominguez down to Venezuela for winter. I mean, Volpe's not doing that shit. We know.
Volpe should, but
Volpe
should. Why not? He absolutely should be down there.
Well, fine. Send all
three
of them. They can.
I got confused.
Rent an
Volpe
Airbnb.
right now is a student with D's, and he needs to do the extra credit to get that shit up to at least a C+.
Yeah, you're here. I need you to be here. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Figure it dude. Shortstop with the New York Yankees isn't shortstop for the Pirates. Like, you can't keep being a 220 hitter and bobbling ground balls and throwing balls in the dirt. And shit got pretty fucking. He's been booed at times this year. Like, it's figure it out now, or you're never going to figure it out time. Like, it's getting to that point with him.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So shit or get off the
now or never. It's got to happen now, dude. Year 3.
Yeah.
I mean, how many C.J. Abrams and what's his face from the Angels? I forget his fucking name.
Zach Neto.
There you go. Zach Neto is an absolute stud. I mean, You got Ezekiel Tovar. You got O'Neal Cruz. You got Gunnar Henderson. There's other shortstops similar ages who have taken that next step, who are much better offensive players, and some of them aren't as great defensively, but they're serviceable at least for as good as they are.
Who's the rookie? The rookie
might be dead last on that
It's
list.
Jacob Wilson. I mean, he
stuck for the A's.
Somebody just said it in here too. Yeah, the Sacramento
A's.
It's
put up or shut up time for Volpe. I mean, it's fuck or walk. Like, figure it the fuck out, dude.
Yeah, you can't put up with this for too much longer. You just can't. I mean,
have you guys seen?
I want the kid to succeed, but
yeah. Have you guys seen George Lombard Jr. play at all? Like either in person or like
impressive
on TV.
I've seen a lot of clips.
I watched him in Tampa for a lot. I watched him play like 6 games, and he's awesome. I know that I'm not really like giving that much detail when I say that.
I believe it. I believe
he jumped off the screen, so to speak, to me more than Spencer Jones did.
He looks like a ball player. Yeah, he just has he moves. He just everything.
Yeah, he's a spider out
there. He looks. Man. You can tell. You can just tell he's going to be good and he's going to improve.
And he's got pop.
Look out. That's good.
Yeah, I think that's what Volpe should be thinking about in terms of how he's going to fit into this team in the future. Because if he's counting his chickens, he's counting his next contract, which is, we agree, I like to think, way ahead of where he needs to be right now. But that's the mantle that the Yankees have given him, is like, you're the starter, and he really would have to fuck up royally, forgive my French, to be out of that seat. I hope beyond hope that at least in the offseason we look at that and we begin to disabuse ourselves of the need to have him be like the guy and be a statue out there for us. So not ready to put him in Monument Park just yet. And I think George Lombard is certainly nipping at his heels. I don't know what the organization considers him to be in terms of timeline. But I think he's one of those guys. I think he's going to rise a lot faster than we saw Jones rise. As great as Jones is right now and how much he's going to be down that door, I think Lombard's going to be zippy when he comes up, man. I think it's going to be I would go as far as saying the latest I see him coming up is the end of next year, whether that's a third base, shortstop, wherever. He's going to be part of the mix. So
I like that.
What's absolutely insane is he just turned 20. I mean, he was 19 up until June of this year, like that. And he's already top of the Yankees farm system. He's one of the, Baseball America, one of their top prospects on the top 100. He's playing in the futures game. He's ripping a ball down the line. He's stealing a bag. I mean, the guy has, you talk about instincts. You talk about a guy who is shortstop and looks like he knows what the fuck he's doing. Comparing him to Volpe at short is night and day. George Lombard is just, like Connor said, it jumps off the screen. Like, this dude is a dynamic talent, especially defensively. The arm is phenomenal. The range is great. The instincts are solid. He can play the ball in. He plays a tough hop. He can barehand. He can play back. He can go left. He can go right. He can do the jump throw from the, that little gap, the 5-6 hole there. He can do the jump throw. Like, this dude is big time. And there are so many striking similarities to Carlos Correa. It's absolutely fucking crazy. The frame, the swing, the look he has on his face sometimes, the way he throws, how he looks ranging to his left and right. Like, if he's, Carlos Correa was a phenomenal player coming up for the Astros. Obviously, we hate them, and
injury, fuck him. But the
injury bug and all the shit that happened to him.
Injuries got him too.
When he was younger, the dude Carlos Correa was a showstopper for the Astros, man. Like, so if we can get a portion of that from George Lombard Jr., or I don't know, maybe he'll be even better. Who the hell knows? I mean, this is a dude that you really hope starts to hit, really start hitting at Double-A this year and next year, so that timeline can speed up a little bit, so they can get him up to the big club and start getting his feet wet. But it's kind of a cautionary tale with what they did to Volpe. Maybe you don't, the kid just turned 20. Maybe you don't rush him too fast. Obviously, there might be a need for his glove at least. You don't know if the bat's going to play till a little bit later. He's kind of struggling a little bit in Double-A, which is expected. He's basically a teenager with very limited minor league experience. So there's going to be a period where he's going to have to figure Double-A out. But I think he will. I think he's good enough. But he's got all the tools. He's just got to, once the bat starts to click in Double-A and we start thinking of him going to Triple-A and he starts hitting his stride and he starts, getting that grown man strength into his early 20s. I mean, this is a dude, hopefully Connor's right with the 2026 timeline, mid-year, late year.
I love it. Love to see it.
It would be unbelievable to see him come up, man. And imagine if he clicks and Spencer Jones clicks and you got Dominguez clicking. I know those are three dudes who, could be, impact players for a long time for this organization. And maybe that window of Judge winning a championship before he retires gets a little bit extended with some of these young guys figuring things out, and contributing at the major league level, with Stanton kind of on his way out, and some players coming, players going. But if some of these young guys can hit and be impact players at the major league level and kind of extend that window, I think it would be unbelievable. And you got to tip your cap to the Yankees system for having guys like this. I think Spencer Jones is going to hit. I think Lombard is going to hit. I think Dominguez is going to hit. Credit to their scouting, credit to their drafting, credit to their development to an extent. There's some guys that we wish were better, like Volpe, Peraza, not great. Some others, Beater, Vivas, they got in trades. There are guys who they've missed on, and there are guys who have made us question what the hell they're doing down there to develop some of these guys. But if a Jones, if a Lombard, if a Wells kind of comes around and becomes a 20-25 homer guy and plays good defense, Dominguez clicks. I mean, you got to tip your cap for them developing some pretty solid players. Cam Schlittler, Luis Hill. So there's a young core here that we're going to figure out here real soon in 2026, 2027 if they can carry the torch of Aaron Judge into the future for this organization. But it's going to be interesting to see who stays, who goes, what this deadline is going to look like, and then who stays next year in terms of Bellinger. Maybe they offer somewhat of a deal to Trent Grisham if they'll keep him around. I don't think so, but you never know. There's a lot of question marks that are kind of floating around a little bit that we might get some answers to coming into spring of 2026, and even after this deadline. So it's going to be very interesting. But with that being said, I think that'll just about do it for us tonight. We're about an hour and a half in, so it's been a pretty solid show. Over 1,600 live viewers on Twitter and YouTube combined. So that's been a phenomenal showing from a lot of you guys. The chat has been off the hook tonight, so thank you guys for chiming in here and contributing. It's definitely fun to read what you guys think during our discussions and kind of give us some a little bit of different stuff to talk about while we kind of have our rounded up topics to speak about. But it was great having you guys on tonight. Any last thoughts before we head out here?
Oh, well,
just wait tomorrow. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
No worries.
It's good to be here, man.
That's all
it's
I
fun
got. Sorry.
It's really fun.
No, the whole thing. Do that over.
You're good.
Sorry.
It's actually, I was going to say, it's really fun doing this with three people until you started interrupting me. Now I hate
it. Fuck this. No, thank you for having me. It was fun talking with you guys about this. Even though it's not the most fun topic of them getting killed, but yeah.
I feel like we have our most fun on here when there's problems to talk about. So the Yankees keep giving us problems. We have about it. So
it can't be all sunshine and rainbows. That's a boring show, man. It's 20 minutes. The Yankees won again. All right, thanks. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. That was a lot of fun, man. Thank you.
No, 100%. Any last Yankees thoughts? What are they going to be going forward? What does the wild card look like? Playoffs? Connor, want to go ahead and start there?
Yeah, bring me the arms. Just point and fire, man. Bring it as many hard throwing arms with good stuff that Matt Blake can kind of start doing his magic on. And it's interesting to talk about third base, but I just want us to go crazy with the arms. I want to see a totally different room as far as our pitchers go, and I'm excited to see that. I think we're going to do it, even if we don't bring in Sandy. I'm excited to see what happens next.
100%, Chris.
I also would like to see a lot of bullpen turnover, bring in the guys, bolster the thing, because that's where they're losing a lot of games right now. And too many winnable games are getting blown by the guys who are, I don't know if they're just overworked or not good enough, but they need to fit. And I do want to see Sandy, but and then what the hell? Go get Brendan Donovan too. I don't give a shit. Do what you got to do. Be the Yankees. Go get everybody. Go get everybody and win the damn thing.
Yes, please. I mean, obviously, third base is a priority. Like you guys said, bullpen needs to be fixed quickly. We don't know what Cruz is going to be if he ever does come back. Leiter Jr., he's probably done for the year. Loaizaga hasn't been good. Luke Weaver's velocity is down a little bit. Devin Williams is kind of scary sometimes. You need some impact arms to fill out that setup role, and shorten games and get some high octane arms in there, 7th and 8th inning, to lock down a close game or maintain a short lead. So I'm really hoping they go that route. You need high impact swing and miss stuff. I want to see four seam fastballs. I want to see 98 plus. I want to see hard sliders. I'm tired of the changeup, splitter, sinker guys. Like, we got enough of those. Go get some four seam fastballs that you could ride up in the strike zone and strike guys out with 2 strikes. I'm praying for that, but they've let me down before, so who the fuck knows? In a perfect fantasy world, my white whale would be Mason Miller, but that's going to take too many fucking great prospects, so it'll never happen. But if you can fucking 3D print the type of reliever I want, it would be Mason Miller to the T. Big body, huge fucking legs. Hey, yo, throws a million miles an hour, ridiculous slider. Like, you talk about MLB The Show creating a fucking pitcher that I want. It looks exactly like Mason Miller, but they don't grow on trees, unfortunately. But bring me the high octane shit.
Who's that kid out of Arizona that throws a million and
he's hurt?
Moves?
He's toast.
Is he hurt? Well,
Martinez, he's fucked. Yeah, I was flirting with that idea too until I think his elbow's roast beef by now, but hopefully the guy gets healthy. But yeah, pulled pork. But yeah, third base, whatever, patch that hole, put someone there who can catch the fucking ball, whatever. We got enough offense. I'm not really too worried about the offense. Get me some high octane shit in that bullpen, man. You got to shorten games. You got to take these crafty, light throwing, low velocity guys out of here. I mean, they're going to be there, but you can't have a bullpen full of Tim Hills and Brewbakers and Alan Winans and shit like that. I mean, Loizaga throws hard, but he doesn't miss enough bats. You got to get some guys in there going to miss some bats. So fingers crossed. Brian Cashman is all in. Don't you forget it, and don't you ever let him forget it either. I hope the media eviscerates him if he is not actually all in. I got to see some incredible deals, Brian Cashman. God damn it, we need Cody Bellinger and Jazz Chisholm level deals here to make this team a fucking contender. Because right now, the Blue Jays are smacking you in the fucking forehead with their nuts, and you got to figure that shit out. So fingers crossed that they do. But great to have you guys on here tonight. The Lasagna Show, it's been a little hit or miss lately. I haven't been doing a lot of shows. I got some shit going on, but I'm going to try to do some more often. We're going to have great guests like this. Chris and Connor have been fantastic today. We've had a great turnout. So we're going to do some more soon. I'll post on Twitter when we do that. But for now, have a great rest of your guys' night. I'll catch you later, Connor. Catch you later, Chris. And as always, go Yankees.
Go Yanks.
Later, guys.